Michael Wright Homegoing service has become a subject of deep interest among fans following the actor's death at age 70, especially for those who grew up watching him as Eddie King Jr. In the 5 Heartbeats, his family has kept the arrangements private, and is there a reliable confirmation of the date, location, officiant, guest list, or whether the service will be open to the public? What is confirmed is that Wright died on August 19, 2026, and his family later shared the news while remembering him as a beloved husband, father, grandfather, friend, and extraordinary artist. His passing has left a painful void among the people who knew him personally and the millions who knew him through his work. For many fans, a homegoing service would be more than a funeral. It would be an opportunity to celebrate the life of an actor whose career stretched across nearly 5 decades, and whose performances became part of Black film and television history. Michael Wright's name became permanently connected to the 5 Heartbeats, Robert Townsend's 1991 musical drama about a fictional singing group whose journey was filled with ambition, brotherhood, conflict, personal struggles, and redemption. Wright played Eddie King Jr., the group's gifted lead singer, and his performance became one of the most memorable elements of the movie. Eddie was talented but troubled, confident but vulnerable, and constantly battling the consequences of his choices. Wright brought so much emotional depth to the character that audiences continued discussing Eddie decades after the movie's release. That is one reason the news of Wright's death has been so difficult for fans to process. They are not simply saying goodbye to an actor whose name appeared in the credits. They are saying goodbye to a performer whose work became part of their memories. Yet while fans are searching for information about a possible homegoing service, Wright's family deserves space to grieve privately. His wife, Susan Wright, was the person who announced his passing, describing the loss as profound and unimaginable. She remembered Michael as her beloved husband and emphasized the many roles he played away from Hollywood: husband, father, grandfather, and friend. Her statement also honored his artistic legacy, noting that his work touched generations, but the emotional center of her message was not his fame. It was his love. She explained that while his work would live forever, his love would live even longer in the hearts of those who knew him best. Those words offer an important glimpse into the kind of farewell that matters most. A homegoing service is ultimately about the person, not the celebrity. It is about family members remembering the private moments that audiences never saw. It is about friends sharing stories that never appeared in newspapers. It is about colleagues remembering the man behind the character. And for Wright, there are decades of memories to draw from. His professional journey began in the late 1970s after he trained seriously as an actor. He appeared in The Wanderers and later earned recognition for his work in Robert Altman's Streamers. The relationship between Wright and Leon Robinson in The 5 Heartbeats also became an important part of the film's emotional legacy. Robinson played J.T. Matthews, while Wright portrayed Eddie. Their characters were connected through the fictional group and experienced conflict, disappointment, and reconciliation. The movie's central theme of brotherhood resonated because the actors made those relationships feel real. After Wright's death, Robinson shared a tribute that reflected just how meaningful their professional relationship had become. He posted a video featuring moments of the two together, and wrote that they had made history together, and that Wright had made his mark. For fans, Robinson's tribute felt almost like a brother saying goodbye to another brother. It also demonstrated why a future homegoing service could become such an emotional moment if the family decides to hold one publicly. Wright's colleagues have decades of stories about him, from his earliest stage work to his later television appearances. His career crossed multiple generations of entertainment. He worked alongside major performers and directors, yet remained recognizable for the intensity and authenticity he brought to every role. That intensity was part of his acting philosophy. Wright once explained that he believed one of the greatest mistakes a performer could make was failing to be interesting. He wanted audiences to remain engaged, wondering what was happening inside his characters. Eddie King Jr. was perhaps the clearest example of that philosophy. Even when Eddie was making difficult choices, Wright made viewers want to understand why. That ability to create curiosity and emotional connection is what separated Wright from actors who simply delivered lines. He made characters feel alive. His passing also brought attention to the private health battle he had faced. According to information provided by his family, Wright died from heart failure coupled with complications from Markov-Bignami disease, a rare neurological disorder. Reports indicated that he had been diagnosed with the condition years earlier. The family had largely kept his medical situation private, allowing him to live and work without turning his health into a public spectacle. That privacy should continue to be respected after his death. There has been understandable curiosity about his final days, but very few confirmed details have been publicly released. Homegoing service should therefore not be treated as an opportunity to speculate about medical details or private family matters. It should be seen for what it is, a celebration of a life that meant something to many people. And Michael Wright's life certainly gave people plenty to celebrate. He spent almost 50 years working in entertainment. He appeared in more than 50 film and television productions, and remained active well into his later years. He was not someone who disappeared after one famous performance. He continued acting, continued accepting challenging roles, and continued contributing to the industry. His career is a reminder that longevity itself can be an achievement. Fellow actors would remember his talent, and fans would remember Eddie King Jr., but all of those memories would ultimately point back to the same person, Michael Wright, the man behind the roles, the husband remembered by Susan. The father and grandfather remembered by his family, the friend remembered by Leon Robinson and others, and the performer remembered by audiences who never forgot his face. If the family eventually announces details of a public memorial or homegoing service, those details should be followed through official announcements rather than social media speculation. Until then, the safest and most respectful approach is to allow the family to decide how and when Michael Wright will be honored publicly. His legacy, however, does not depend on a ceremony. It already exists in the films and television shows he left behind. Every time the 5 Heartbeats is watched, Eddie King Jr. comes back to life through Wright's performance. Every time a fan discovers one of his earlier movies, another piece of his career is remembered. Every tribute shared by a colleague keeps another part of his story alive. And perhaps that is the greatest homegoing of all. Not one day, one building, or one ceremony, but generations of people continuing to remember the work of a man who dedicated nearly 5 decades to his craft. Michael Wright's family may eventually gather friends, colleagues, and loved ones for a formal farewell, but the world has already begun its own remembrance. Leon Robinson has spoken. Fans have shared their favorite scenes. Colleagues have remembered his talent. And his wife has reminded everyone that behind the famous actor was a man whose love mattered more than his celebrity. Michael Wright's life ended, but his work did not. His final curtain may have fallen, but the characters he created remain. Eddie King Jr. will continue singing. The 5 Heartbeats will continue telling its story of brotherhood and redemption. And Michael Wright's name will continue appearing whenever people discuss the actors who made that film unforgettable. Until official homegoing details are released, that may be the most appropriate way to honor him, not by filling the silence with rumors but by filling it with memories. His family has lost someone irreplaceable, and the entertainment world has lost a remarkable performer. But his legacy remains where he always wanted it to be, in the hearts and minds of the people watching.